So you think it's harder to score 30 points in a EuroLeague game than it is in an NBA game?
Yeah, 100%.
The NBA is more talented than ever. The competition is getting harder every single year. With more star players entering the league and developing, the offense is now unstoppable, and 50 players have averaged 20 points per game regardless of how many games played this season. Players have been closer than ever to breaking more records. With 60 and 70-point games becoming a regularity, only time will tell what the future holds for the NBA. NBA teams are scoring at unprecedented levels, but this surge in scoring is starting to impact the quality of the games. While previous increases in scoring have made games more thrilling, there's a tipping point where it becomes excessive. In a league where defense seems to be fading, triple-digit scores have become the norm, with high-scoring games frequently ending in the 120s and 130s. No matter how you look at it, the Detroit Pistons had one of the worst seasons in NBA history. They went on to lose 28 straight, setting an NBA record for the longest losing streak in a single season. Now, they rank near the bottom in almost every team statistic, with only 14 wins all season. The Pistons ranked 27th in scoring last season, just a few points ahead of Charlotte, Memphis, and Portland. Interestingly, 10 seasons ago, their 109.9 points per game would have made the 2023-24 Pistons the highest scoring team in the NBA. So how does a struggling Pistons team score significantly more than powerhouse teams like the 67-win Golden State Warriors, Lob City Los Angeles Clippers, or the Durant and Westbrook Oklahoma City Thunder? It highlights how the league has evolved and arguably not for the better. When factoring in a team's overall scoring, averaging 20 points per game today is roughly comparable to 17.5 points per game a decade ago and just over 16 points per game 2 decades ago. Looking back to the 1992-93 season, only 5 players managed to make 100 threes while shooting 40% or better. In contrast, the 2023-24 season saw 35 players meet this criteria. This dramatic increase speaks volumes about the evolution of the game. The average points scored per game in the 2022-23 season was 114.2 compared to 105.3 in the 1992-93 season. While this may not seem like a significant difference, it represents a notable shift in the NBA landscape. January 2023, Donovan Mitchell went for 71, a year prior which was 2 fewer than Luka Doncic scored on his own in Atlanta. Before January 2023, only 6 players had ever scored 70 or more points in a single NBA game across the league's 7-decade history. Remarkably, that feat has occurred 4 times since then, including twice. One weekend was particularly notable. Doncic dropped 71 points, Devin Booker had 62 and then 44, Steph Curry scored 46, Anthony Simons put up 40, and PJ Washington contributed 43 points on 22 shots. And despite these impressive performances, all of their teams ended up losing except for the Mavericks. Meanwhile, Karl Anthony Towns went for 62, and Joel Embiid became only the second player in NBA history to score more than a point per minute, joining Wilt Chamberlain, who averaged 50 points per game in 1961-62, after recently scoring 70 points himself. Now, what has led to this? I think it comes down to a multiple of things. While high-scoring games can be exciting, tuning into any NBA matchup today reveals defensive plays that would leave most high school coaches shaking their heads. Missed assignments, poor communication, and a general decline in effort have resulted in fewer contested shots and more easy baskets, ultimately diminishing the overall quality of the games.
The pride when you talking about a lot of guys in the league now, like you do have guys night in, night out, very few who do get that defensive effort.
For sure.
A majority of them don't give 2 shits about defense.
While this plays a role, I think it's much deeper than that, and offense has just gotten way too good. The best team have great shooting around them, and all positions can shoot the ball, so it gives maximum space for star players to do whatever they want. Teams like the Rockets with Harden were unstoppable, and you would just hope they miss shots. They often played a small ball lineup with PJ Tucker at 5, which allowed James Harden to ISO or run the pick and roll. Even with the Warriors, they consistently set screens for shooters to get open, which made opponents worry about the 3 that led to easy 2s. Even players who couldn't shoot would roll to the basket, facilitate, or set screens. Chris Bosh had to play the center position and shoot more 3s to make the offense spread and play a 5-out offense.
Got it! Chris Bosh!
We played Miami, and they put Chris Bosh at the 5. I think that's when the league literally changed.
That was how you beat the Pacers. Like, that was the blueprint to beat the Pacers.
The top shooters in today's NBA, including Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and James Harden, all average over 7 3-point attempts per game, with Curry coming in at nearly 10. The saying "3 is more than 2" is frequently mentioned in the modern league, highlighting the efficiency of 3-point shooting for overall scoring. While this concept has always been true, players in earlier eras didn't shoot the 3 as effectively as they do now. The players could not go one-on-one and can't double players like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, when Grayson Allen can shoot 46.1% from 3. The team that just won a championship shot 42 threes per game, which leads the league. The Golden State Warriors are usually up there as well, to go with the Houston Rockets with James Harden, and even Cleveland with LeBron James had shot what was considered a lot at the time. 7 years ago, only one team shot more than 35 threes, and now it's the league average. The NBA is just more skilled players and harder to stop. Just look at the point guard position and its matchups on a nightly basis. You have to go against Luka Doncic, Steph, Shai, Trey, Dame, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, Jay Morant, LaMelo Ball, Drew Holiday, Cade Cunningham, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, but he has been playing shooting guard. All these players can give you problems on any given night and give you 30. And I didn't even mention D'Angelo Russell, Fred VanVleet, or any other notable point guards. Offense has just peaked over defense, and there is a clear advantage.
Scoring is easier in NBA just because of the amount of the different roles, the less space, the time. So that's why I said it.
It's not that front offices overlook the importance of defense. In fact, players like Rudy Gobert and OG Anunoby have commanded higher trade values and more money than scorers like James Harden for a reason. OG Gobert both got maxed out contracts. OG Anunoby signed a 5-year, $212 million contract with the New York Knicks, and Gobert's 5-year max contract is worth $205 million contract. However, today's NBA features significantly more elite scorers than top-tier defenders. Several rule changes have been implemented to support defensive play. The league now penalizes offensive players for flopping and calls fewer fouls on moves designed to draw contact, like those often used by Trae Young in previous years, but you do now see Joel Embiid and Jalen Brunson continue to foul bait. Some part of it is knowing the game, but a lot of it seems excessive, but that's where refs comes in, since the players are just using advantages. Contrary to popular belief, teams are committing fewer fouls than ever in NBA history, but this could be due to players also being forced to be less physical to the point where much defense isn't played. One potential change the league could consider is reintroducing a version of the hand check rule. Before the 2004-05 season, players were allowed to use their hands or arms to impede offensive players, which helped limit scoring and made it easier to defend. After the elimination of hand checking that season, scoring increased by nearly 4 points per game. By allowing more physical defense through fewer hand check fouls, teams could better contain elite scorers and prevent them from driving to the basket so easily. Additionally, extending the defensive 3-second violation to 5 seconds could enable big men to remain in the paint longer, potentially reducing scoring at the rim. But if that happens, which I don't think it will, and don't think that's the solution, increasing the number of offensive fouls called on drives to the basket could further help lower scoring overall. No matter what adjustments the league opts to implement, change is necessary. Even Steve Kerr, one of the greatest offensive minds in basketball history, acknowledges this. I think maybe there's been an overcorrection to what was happening 20 years ago. We've just gone a little too far. The rules have really favored the offensive player, making it much more challenging to play defense in the NBA now. The league may be hesitant to make changes because things seem to be going well. A slight tilt toward offense likely maximizes entertainment value. However, there's a risk of it crossing into farce. While a scoring percent of 52% can be exciting, if it rises significantly beyond that, it starts to look absurd, an extreme opposite to the low-scoring games of the mid-1990s.